you have been a part of and covered Formula One for years, and in your 2018 book, The Winning Formula: Leadership Strategy and Motivation, The Formula One Way, wrote about your own experiences in this seat. How would you describe your view on the evolution of Formula One cars we see on track now, and what would you like to see more of in the coming future?
Yeah, well, Formula One, if we look at it since its inception in the 1950s, it's always been the sort of pinnacle of what was the fastest cars that could be put on a closed circuit. So whether it was those very early cars with no aerodynamics through going into the 70s where they started to introduce aerodynamic downforce, which enables the car to be pushed into the ground through turbocharging and then getting into composite materials. It's always been an innovator, which then finds its way through to the automotive sector. And so there's that sort of hand in glove relationship between the automotive and the motorsports world. Modern Grand Prix cars are hybrid engines, V6 turbo, produce around 1,000 horsepower. They're the most fuel efficient engines in the world. So again, that influences the automotive sector for the future. 26 regulations will see a bigger use of electrical energy. So we'll have a sort of 50-50 split there. But for me, Formula One has always been cutting edge. And when you watch that, you know, you're seeing the sort of merging of technology and just straightforward sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Very technological and everything. Commentators and race viewers knew you for your race adaptability, from weather conditions to different track types. What track type do you feel like best conformed to your driving style? And if there was a moment you had to quickly adjust your own driving strategy due to outside forces on track, what were they?
Well, I think I always did pretty well on street circuits or circuits that were, let's say, a little bit more contained. The more open, wide tracks, I guess somehow it was more difficult for me to judge where the limit was. Where a street, clearly, there's a metal barrier. That is your limit. It doesn't move, you know, and it doesn't play nice if you hit it. And I think, therefore, you know, I was able to win in lower formula in Macau and be in podiums in places like Pau in France and then win Monaco a couple of times. So that worked for me. Changing conditions, yeah, I was always comfortable with that. I grew up racing in the UK, so, you know, I'm from Scotland. The weather is always changing. So I think we had an advantage maybe over some of the Central European drivers who maybe didn't do as much wet weather running.
Mm-hmm. And then speaking on your own wins, in the 2000 French Grand Prix, you performed an incredibly daring overtake, which some people consider one of your best moves in your career on Michael Schumacher at the Adelaide hairpin, and later won that race. Is there a specific race or moment that years down the line still brings a smile to your face or gives you a sense of pride?
Well, that is one. I think that was possibly my purest victory in terms of desire and hunger and belief. And, you know, Michael was an incredible competitor, a very successful racer with 7 world championships. So to hunt him down, overtake him was never easy, but, you know, I have a lot of pride for that race. You know, winning what I consider the classics. So I was able to win at Silverstone, Spa in Belgium, Monza, and Monte Carlo. You know, they're some of the old classic Grand Prix tracks. So those are all great memories, and thoroughly enjoyed my time in Formula One.
Absolutely. And many people don't know the extreme lengths that drivers sometimes need to go through, such as physical and mental training. What challenges did you face from the start of your career, and how did it change over time with evolving cars in different teams?
Yeah, well, I was already quite tall in karting, and my weight was an issue. So, you know, the sort of last couple of years of my karting career, I was bulimic to keep myself heading the scales. You know, I'd weigh myself twice a day, and, you know, performance, we're like jockeys in that respect. If you're too heavy as a jockey, then the horse race is affected. Thankfully, in cars, it wasn't as big an issue, and I was able to come out of that because it's clearly not a very healthy way to live. And then I was able to, you know, maintain a sensible weight whilst being competitive. And that's even been increased now, where the smaller drivers don't have an advantage over the taller drivers. We've got some pretty tall guys now: George Russell, Alex Albon. We've got who else is tall in there? Nico Hulkenberg is pretty tall. So these guys, with their seat, they can be 80 kilograms, which is achievable. And I think that makes it more fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see that a lot, especially with, you know, the differences in weight and how, you know, especially throughout the season, you know, teams have to take parts away to make up for that weight, especially as drivers gain weight throughout the season. And for you, throughout your F1 career, how would you describe the dynamic between you and your engineers and what did their contributions mean to your success?
Well, Formula One is, you sort of celebrate the driver on the podium with the champagne, but he is there purely from all the hard work from the men and women that design and build the race cars. So the team is absolutely key. The engineers are let's say the race engineers are the final link between the race team, the design office, and what happens on track. So they have to understand very well what the vehicle dynamics are, what the aerodynamic profile is, the model shapes of how the tires work, and they have to take the hopes and desires and expressions of the driver and then translate that into engineering terms. And I think that's why the sport of Formula One is really something that offers something for everyone, whether you're in production of content like this, whether you're in media generally, whether you're in catering, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in design, whether you're in the mechanicking of building it or the manufacturing, through to then the delivery at the racetrack. As an industry, there's actually a role for almost every career path, if you like. And typical Formula One team now is about 1,000 people that are there putting two cars on track for the drivers. So the relationship with the engineer is very important. And I always feel that they're parts engineer and parts psychologist, because they've got to understand the psyche of the emotional driver.
Yes.
If you've got Max coming in, really angry and frustrated, they have to calm him down, get him to focus on what's important, and then get them back out on track.
Absolutely, yes. And we see Max's success so much in the recent years.
Yeah.
But for you, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice before your first Formula One race, what would it be and why?
I think I was as prepared as I could be for the race itself. I'd been racing since I was 11 years old. I'd been testing for Williams for 3 years, so I really knew the setup of the team. But what I didn't have was life experience. And that's the thing that all of us lack in our journey as youngsters. I think that your passions, your hopes, they are what they are, and I don't think we should ever change that. But it's actually taking a step back and kind of trying to take an overview of your life. And very quickly, I'm 53, it's passed like that. And of course, I'm much more structured and organized in my day-to-day life, how I live and how I structure my time amongst my work and my family and my friends. And that's the thing that you haven't quite worked out when you're that age. So it wouldn't be advice on driving, it would be life advice on structuring your life, being organized. I'm trying to pass that on to my 15-year-old now, who's still a bit messy, towel on the floor and doesn't pack his bag. And he kind of looks at me like, why does that matter? And the reason it matters is everything matters. If it's a touch point to you, everything matters. How you do your laundry, how you prepare your food, how you tidy up afterwards. It's not just how good you are when you go to work and being professional, but in life, everything you do, from how you sleep to how you party to how you go to work or go to school, if you go, well, that doesn't matter, then all you're doing is kind of cheating on your own life, because it's no one else's life. And as you get older, you realize how you buy your groceries, or how you prepare your, wash up afterwards, or if you don't do it now, you're still going to have to do it later. So just get all of those things organized, because everything that's involved in your life matters. And if you cut corners in any of those things, you're just cheating on life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I guess just for our closer, real quick, what does the Red Bull Racing brand mean to you?
It represents a different way of going about the same challenge. Ferrari go about their challenge in a very, let's say, historical Italian engineering way. Red Bull are an energy drinks company. They came in and bought a Formula One team, and they brought their own unique way of going to work and bringing people together in the workplace. The end goal is the same. It's to design and build the fastest Formula One car and then run it operationally at the racetrack at the highest level. And again, that's where everything matters. But in terms of the off-track approach, there's music playing in the garage, which would never have happened before. You might think, well, why does that matter? Well, it matters because some people are inspired by listening to music when they work. And if the members of the team aren't, they can put a headset in. And so it's just about a freedom and an expression of the individuals that come together to make a team.